Welcome to the Homeward Bound podcast by the Mortgage Guys, your ultimate guide to navigating home buying and mortgage lending. Whether you're searching for your first home or settling into your forever home, we're here to make the journey simple, clear, and exciting, helping you secure your dreams one home at a time.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Homeward Bound podcast with the Mortgage Guys. We're excited to be with you again for another episode. And as always, I'm Dave Loescher, and I'm here with Kyle Torgerson. And before we get started, I want to ask you to subscribe and like this episode and share it with all your friends. But we're ready to get going on this one. Kyle, this is a topic we've been wanting to do for a long, long time. And why don't you take the opportunity and talk a little bit about the topic and introduce our guest?
Yeah, I'd say that one of the main reasons we ever wanted to start this podcast was to get insights of a lot of people, including builders. And so we're excited to have Mac Urie with Roy Talmage Builders with us today. Mac's, his heritage is here. It's in Southern Utah. We were just talking about your Southern Utah drawl, so we're going to hear a lot of that. So, we're excited to have you. But, tell us a little more about you, your business. We were talking family and everything else, I guess. But let's hear who Mac Urie is.
Right on. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. So grew up here. Family's been here since the 1800s. Probably third generation. Well, my family's been in the trades. The first guy that came here was a blacksmith. And then every family member that I come from has been in the trades one way or another. So, in fact, the people always ask me this, where Roy Talmage came from. Roy is the first name of my grandpa on my dad's side, and Talmage is the first name of my grandpa on my mom's side. And Roy was an engineer and a surveyor here in town. He probably surveyed half the lots and property lines in Iron County. And then Talmage was a architectural metal guy and a ductwork guy. So he did a lot of projects at SUU and around, but he was amazing what he could do with his hands with metal and a pair of tin snips.
So Roy Talmage, you chose the name and you named it in honor of your relatives before you.
I've always wondered.
Yep.
I have too. I was going to ask you one day, did he buy this company off a guy named Roy Talmage?
No. I wanted something that was tied to me but didn't have my name on it. I didn't want, I'm not a big name person, and I don't really care. I'm better at being in the background of things. But I did want something that was a family tie and meant something to me, but didn't have my name on it. So that's where that came from. And kind of just a homage to them, right? Yeah. They were in the trades and they set up everything here. And so that's kind of what that, and the way that it started out is I bought my dad's company. Okay. That business, and that was Urie Co-Construction, and we were doing a lot of commercial and heavy civil stuff with him, and I wanted to kind of go towards the vertical, and so I basically just created the DBA for that, and then Roy Talmage is what we did all of our residential and vertical construction under, and then ultimately just kind of morphed the business into that. So that's what we do mainly. Yep.
So as a kid, how'd you get your hands dirty in construction? When you first got started, were you framing, laying block? Were you excavating?
So my dad was an excavation contractor, general building contractor. So I grew up going to work with him every summer and sometimes on the Saturdays. So I started out with a shovel in my hand, shoveling in ditches and laying pipe and, working with equipment. I was running equipment, probably when I was 9 or 10, 11, 12. Worked with him every summer. We did some commercial buildings in town for himself and then did some duplexes and stuff like that. But mainly grew up doing excavation. He did a lot of welding, so I was around all that. Did a lot of concrete work too as well, just for ourselves, what we needed to do. And then I graduated in construction management at SUU. Okay. Went into project management estimation for his company. We did a lot of municipal public works jobs, did some DOT projects, and basically I graduated in 2008 when everything took a dump, so right there when the economy was crashing. So I was in that environment, and we actually bought a restoration franchise. We opened those doors in 2012. And that was good because restoration insurance work doesn't stop when the economy sucks. Water lines break and sewers back up and cars drive through buildings, no matter if it's a good
Fires happen.
Yeah, fires happen if it's a good economy or bad economy.
Crap happens.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I'd gross you out with some of the stories that we have, the buildings that we walked into.
So that was Delta, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when I met you, is when you're running Delta.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Delta Disaster Services. And we were still actually doing other projects, commercial and some residential. But mainly what we were at that point was like a remodeling contractor, because we get in there and clean up the mess, tear the house apart, and then we put it back together. And half the time clients were like, hey, we want you to do this and this and this. And so anyway, that kind of morphed into what we are now. I didn't love that business. I did it for 5 or 6 years and realized that wasn't like the career path that I wanted to keep going in. And plus there was a lot of opportunity because the economy was starting to turn around, and so I sold that business to another company here in town, sold our assets basically, non-renewed the franchise agreement. I learned a ton from being a part of a franchise system about running a business and doing things systematically like a franchise does, customer service, things like that. And then also had a partner. We started a commercial framing company, did that for a number of years, framed some hotels, multifamily stuff, some church work, stuff like that. Big projects, we had 40 employees, and that was in addition to what we were doing under Roy Talmage Builders. So and just kind of morphed into what it is today, which is we're mainly a custom home builder. Mm-hmm. We do some subdivision work. Obviously did a lot more subdivision work when the when the interest rates were lower. Sure. So when they clicked up a couple years ago, that kind of not came to a screeching halt, but came, slowed
What
down
would
quite
you
a
say your mix is right now between residential homes and commercial work now?
So we usually do a couple commercial jobs a year. That's not really like what I chase, but if it's the right fit and it's in our wheelhouse, then we'll go after it and we'll do it. We do a couple TIs a year, it seems like, and then a couple big, not great big ones, but we do have a few commercial jobs going right now. And then mainly custom homes. That's kind of like our bread and butter. What we're known for is higher end custom homes. So,
okay, yeah, I'd say you probably built at least half my neighborhood.
Yeah, that subdivision we do build a lot of homes in.
Yeah, you got 2 more that you started just recently.
We just started. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The spec game's a little bit different right now. I think again, that's not like our niche really, but I like to always have at least a couple going out on the market there. We built some specs other places just to have something, on the market there. And we like building there, love that development, and it's an awesome place. So backing up about 4 years from now, when the market was different, I mean, specs were, you'd build them as fast as you could. We had constantly like 10 to 15 contracts in front of us, and it was just that we were always behind. Like hey, this is where we got to start this one, we got to roll this one. I mean, we were carrying anywhere from 40 to 50 homes at our peak, in process. So at like going, I mean, we were pulling 25 permits at a time sometimes.
That's amazing.
Along with other builders, right? Like that was it was really busy back then.
It was boom.
Yeah, it was really busy. But that's, like when things started to kick up, I think it was like when it went to 6.5, we really felt the pullback. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we had kind of like sensed that and didn't have a bunch out in front of us. We had a few homes that took a little bit longer to sell, and ever since then we've just kind of done, maybe 3 or 4 at a time, and just made sure that we had enough. We didn't have too much out there that we were going to sit there forever. Yeah. So
that was a tough time right then. I mean, 4 years ago, the biggest thing we had was supply chain issues.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that getting mortgages done, I was thinking on our side, we were getting them done without the soffit and fascia, without the garage doors a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the concrete wasn't all the way done, but luckily Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae kind of loosened up a little bit on that. I don't know how we would have done it and got everything done on time.
Yeah, it was interesting, and also working with the city to get CO, right? Yeah. To like have the final inspection to be able to give you guys the CO cert so that you could close. Mm-hmm. We had to work with them on what it was, and we had to change, and every builder had to change their whole ordering process for materials and selections, because we had a schedule of when clients needed to pick certain things out to be able to install, and that just got blown out of the water. I remember just plumbing fixtures we were waiting like 4 or 5 months for. So we got to the point where we ordered everything for the entire home, like right when we started it, or else we weren't going to have it. And rock was a big one, cultured stone.
That's right.
I mean, garage doors became a big deal, right? You were ordering garage doors before you even dug.
Yeah, everything. We were ordering the rock, the stone, brick, garage doors, everything in the entire home when we started digging.
Windows is a big deal.
Yep. And when you had a smaller home, like a 1,500, 1,600 slab on grade home, that doesn't take you very long to get to the point where you start need to putting stuff in it, you know. Yeah. We ran into lumber shortages as well, trying to get lumber in. And during that time too, price increases just kept coming like nonstop.
Yeah, that's right.
Every time we would get an email or a letter, it was like, this is coming in. And we had a lot of pre-sold contracts that we had to honor, so that was not a fun time on some of the jobs that we did.
But we saw a number of change orders just because lumber packages increasing in double-digit percentages. I mean,
we saw a change in how you guys created your contracts, because it used to be, instead of going, final price or cost plus, you guys actually had, what was that term you guys had in there, where it gave
material escalation clause?
Yeah, escalation clause. Thank you. We saw those contracts with the escalation clauses. All of a sudden, that became a common thing in everything, because you had to protect yourself.
Oh yeah, there was one subdivision. It was 20-something homes we did, and I made money on like 2 of them. By the time that we finished it out, right? Because we had a contract. The way that it was set up is that we had to have a contract in place to be able to secure the construction financing. Yeah. So, and then by the time we got to the end of the build, like everything went up, condensers and plumbing and metal was one, the aluminum soffit and fascia was going up, like everything was going up. It didn't matter if we like upped our prices on the next one. It was just by the time we got to the end of the job. And probably I could have went back and said like, hey, I'm not selling this without like a 20, 30, whatever. I can't even remember what it was, but I just didn't feel right about it. This is the price that we told them, and they had a contract for it, so we honored it. But,
that's pretty good. That's a lot of integrity.
But yeah, it was not a great time but looking back now, I think that's changed how we still do business, like for the better, as far as like making sure that we're checking lead times beforehand, and that we're making sure that we're getting orders in when it needs to be in. And now that we're doing more custom homes, we have a longer build cycle, right? So it's not like we're trying to pump them out as quick as we possibly can to keep up with demand. It's like we're working with the client to build the home that they want, their dream home. And so we're working with them at their speed.
I noticed for a long time, in the construction, especially residential home construction, there was a large percentage of the builders that were glorified tradesmen, but not good business people. Do you think that because of those challenging times you just talked about, do you think it kind of weeded some of that out, and now you have a group of builders that really understand costs, managing those costs, timelines, and all the above?
I think so. Yeah, I'm on the Home Builders board, the Home Builders Association board, and all the builders that are on that board that I know well, they build a good product, and they're good businessmen because they've been through, they've been through it. And the old adage that I heard my dad say, and all the people that were in his generation, because I grew up around him, is like, we'll go broke going fishing. I'm not gonna go broke working. So there's no point in trying to do like work for nothing, right? Yeah. So from an early age, I had this understanding like, hey, like you're coming to work and you need to make some money to do it, or why are we here? Yeah. That was pretty hard to understand the way things were going in like 2008 to 2012, because when we were doing public works pricing, it was like, none of the stuff I learned in college like is applicable to what's going on here, right?
I think a lot of us could say that about our education.
Yeah, but I mean just like math, right? Simple math. Like how is this job going for this amount when these are the costs? Like I don't know how to get from here to here. Yeah. But that you overcome that, and you just have to get better at your job costs and like knowing your numbers and efficiencies and things like that. So I think for all intents and purposes, as you go through harder times and you go through challenges, then you basically like knuckle down and figure out a way to come out of it. And then when you go through that, you just put in processes and standards that like, hey, this isn't going to happen again, and we're going to make sure this isn't going to happen because we're going to do this different from now on. So you just basically learn. I mean, you're supposed to learn, right?
Yeah.
You learn from all the crap that you go through, and just figure out a better way to do business. So
yeah, I'd say that tough times breed wisdom, and so I guess leading into a few other questions, but I mean, we had the 2008, we had the 2012, we had the 2021 and 22. Where each of those were unique. So like for today, like what are you finding like as a unique challenge to building homes today?
Challenge, I mean, there's always challenges, right? There's like, are you talking financial challenges? Or
anything from people getting loans to buy their homes, or what you're finding in the
difficult to get
lines?
land at a right price.
Like what is like the common hang up right now?
So I don't see a common one because, like, again, we do mainly custom. So every client is different. Their plans are different. Their site's different, right? So there's a whole bunch of different things that go into play. But I would say just in general, getting pricing, everyone has a budget. Doesn't matter if it's $500,000 or $5 million, right? They all have a budget. And so a lot of times people will have an unrealistic expectation of what something's going to cost. And a lot of what I do is clients will call and they'll say, hey, we want to come and talk to you about building the plan, building the home. So I keep data on every home we built since we started them. I can pull them. Obviously, costs past a couple of years don't mean anything today, but what we're currently building, what we built in the last year, I have exact costs of what was spent. So I can take and show them the size of plan, maybe similar architecture, whether it's a slab on grade or a basement, walkout basement, whatever, 2-story. And talk to them about the finishes that we put in the home, and I can tell them what it was, the build cost was for that. So a lot of times we're working with clients to help them get like the plan or what they're thinking they want to do. And some clients will be obviously like, okay, we need to obviously scale back what we're doing to stay within what we want. And other clients are like, that's awesome, let's roll. They don't even bat an eye. Wow. So everybody's got a budget. It just depends on what that number is. And we have clients that will spend $30,000 more on something, but they won't spend $500 more on something. So again, it's very like specific to the client.
It's their judgment. It's their
it's what they value spending an extra dollar on versus what they don't. They could care less about, right? So it just depends. So there's always challenges with every build just through the nature of construction. There's a saying that I heard. I think Mark Windsor up in Park City said it. He's a builder up there, and he says construction is undefeated, right? So it's like there's constant challenges, there's constant issues, we're dealing with imperfect materials and imperfect people, and so no matter what we do, if we have the best business or the best game plan or the best project manager, best employees, like no matter what, there's always going to be an issue. And it's not that there's issues, it's how we handle the issues and what we do to take care of them. Like the solutions that we come up to fix it, whatever needs to be fixed or to overcome the challenge.
In our world, the price tag drives everything.
Right.
Interest rates do as well, but the price tag does. And most of the people, especially people maybe listening to this today, they're trying to maybe get into their first house. Maybe it's a third house. Maybe it's a forever house, whatever it is. So some people can, like you just mentioned, some can take that higher price. But some things in your world, I think land is a big one that's gone up a lot. It's gone up in price. And I think there's certain things that kind of do ebb and flow in the markets. Like lumber, I watch OSB, right? OSB is now down to what, $9 a sheet-ish, $9.50.
The last time I checked was not too long. You're about 15-ish, 16.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
for 4x8.
Okay, I've noticed it going all over the place, but that's something that kind of goes up and comes down somewhat. But what about other items out there like concrete and steel and drywall? Is there some things that you think we are in the new norm? Because we've watched them go up from, like, let's just say the last 15 years. And we watch prices go up pretty dramatically in some materials. For sure. Do you think a lot of those are now at a new benchmark that we just need to get used to? Or do you think some of that could come down?
I mean, lumber, I don't understand lumber. It's a commodity and it's based on futures. So I literally have I don't understand. I get weekly lumber mill price rates for each area of the market. And I look at just specifically to the Intermountain West. And during those areas when it was just climbing, all the reasons that they listed was like transportation, shortages, fires. They had a litany of reasons. And then it just bottomed out the next week. Like it just fell. And then you know that like all of those things that they said was causing the price increase didn't just get solved overnight, like the next week. You know what I mean? So right now it's pretty stable. It's gone up in the last couple months, and I think they're kind of waiting for the economy to kick back up for a reason to start.
Anticipating higher need.
And again, it's traded on a future demand, so those reflect. And the nice thing about buying from local supply yards like Sunrock or BFS here locally is that they'll buy bulk at a certain price, and so their price curve is a lot less vertical and when it crashes, because they're buying as it goes up, and so you're not paying a mill price. Like when we were framing, we would buy direct from the mill because there was no middleman, that way, but you're paying a lot steeper price points on the way up, but then you're also getting the price reductions as it goes down quicker than when you're buying from some of these other guys. So I mean, it's always you're looking at it, you're watching it. Every time we do a lumber takeoff, you get pricing, we always add like 10%, 5 to 10% at least, just to cover that. And then if there's money left over in the lumber line item, they can leave it and not spend it, or they typically end up spending it somewhere else in the home. But I've been on that end where, we get to the lumber by the time we price it, from the time we priced it to the time we're actually doing it, and you're $30,000 to $50,000 more. But then also on the backside of that, we priced it when it was high, and by the time we went to do the home, they had a $30,000, $40,000 like remaining amount line item that they could put towards something else.
Must be like herding kittens. Trying to chase all that.
It's rough. And I mean, the best thing is to price stuff out early. And then if you do, like a lot of times, if we price something out and it's been a couple months or 6 months, say the client had, they took some time to decide if they were going to do it, we'll price check it and just, hey, send it back out to the trades, material price guys, and say, hey, are we good with this? We good to move forward? But like, there's a few things that we can't do anything about when a manufacturer sends a letter to the subcontractor, hey, at this date, pricing is going to go up. So to answer your question specifically, typically material pricing increases a couple percent a year. That's what I've seen. Lumber is the most volatile, I think, because again, for whatever reason, it's a commodity and it's traded on the futures market. So that's a lot harder to predict what's going to happen with that. But over the years, I've seen like pipe for plumbing and electrical gear and all that kind of stuff creep up a couple percent here and there at a time. We're doing a commercial project. We just priced one out, and it was pretty HVAC heavy. And he emailed me the other day and said, hey, just got word from our supplier that pricing's going up 6% 1st of May.
Whoa.
So
that's a big jump.
Yeah. So that's kind of the stuff. And codes, when those are adopted, energy codes, then your HVAC equipment has to meet those. And so there was a new Freon that came out that,
I heard about that.
that jumped up in price. That added about $1,000 to the whole, so if you're paying $15,000 for an HVAC system, now we're paying $16,000 because of just the Freon that they're required now to put into the condensers. So
in addition to materials, are you seeing, what do you about subcontractor labor? What have you seen over the last 5-10 years?
Yeah, I've seen that go up because the guys have had to pay their employees more.
Minimum wage goes up, competitive nature of getting the right people.
And just trying to take care of their guys, because as inflation's gone up, everything's gone up. So wages need to come up. If you're dealing with a good company who's trying to take care of their employees, they're going to raise prices. And I think they'll try to eat it as much as they can, but ultimately you're running a business, and so you've got to up your pricing as well to maintain your operating margins that you need to have. So we've seen labor come up, nothing like super drastic, but if we're pricing out, we repriced a home that was a custom home south of here in a community, Leeds. You know where Leeds is at? So I think it was 3 years ago, same house plan, everything, but we repriced it with all current pricing today, and it went up about $150,000. I mean, it was $1 million home, but there's
15% increase.
In 3 years on that. So, and that's just, I mean, there's 40 line items on a custom home or more, right? So if every line item has a cost increase of X, then the total amount is going to reflect that. So
I guess we've been talking a lot for a while now about increasing prices, which we all experience a little bit of that. But I mean, what do we tell the consumers that want to build their first house and want that affordable, quote unquote, situation? I mean, is there hope for them?
I think so. I mean, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And if that somewhere is going to be a townhome, then that's your best bet. And if not, then maybe a duplex. It kind of just depends on your price point.
So not building a home, but buying a home.
Possibly. I mean, you guys know the finances of your clients better than that. And I'm not if somebody asks me mortgage advice, I don't tell them. Obviously I don't know enough to tell them like the right stuff. Mm-hmm. I just say, hey, go talk to these guys. They'll set you straight. But I think owning a home is, if you can do it, is better because pricing comes up over the years, and I know you guys have talked about like the benefits of home ownership versus renting. You're paying property taxes. You're more cemented in the community. You're getting involved more. You're actually going to care about your taxes and what's going on with the schools, because the majority of your taxes go to the school district, and you know what I mean. You're more invested in the community that you live in when you own a home. Yep. So I think trying to get into a home is the right thing to do, and maybe that's not a used home, but not a new home, right? So whatever kind of home that you can get in. And I talk to a lot of people that they come in and they have this idea of what it's going to cost, and we sit down and tell them, and they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe we need to, maybe we need to go back to the drawing board, or we say, hey, we can put you into this and we can put you into that. I think modular is another good option right now, and I've got a buddy that is a dealer for that, and there's a lot of new plans and new lines that you can't even tell they're modular homes now. And so that's a good option because those are built in a factory and they ship to the job site. So your build time is a lot less, and there's a lot less issues as far as like schedule wise that you can get on. So price is more stable because you're dealing with it in a building, and they buy their materials in bulk, they ship them out. There's not change orders, right? Like you buy it for this price.
It's like buying a car.
It drops for this price. So I think that's a great option for people, and I'm not 100% up on what the lending requirements are for that, but I know that they're getting better about building to certain standards and codes so that you guys can lend on those.
It's getting easier for us to do it.
It's getting a lot easier.
And rates are getting better for them.
If you could, I know you just touched on the modular, but explain so that maybe some of the people listening or watching this might know the difference. There's modular, there's manufactured. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about that if you could, and just talk about the difference of those two.
Yeah, I'm not super educated on the exact differences, but I know the modulars are built to a better standard. 2x6 construction, they're more of just like a home on a frame, where the manufactured home is the spec is a lot less, they're less expensive, they're not built as well, and they have to go into most of the time cities have a certain zoning for that, and you can't put them in like a normal residential neighborhood. Where now they have a product called cross mod. That's kind of new in the industry, where basically you'll order the bulk of the home, they'll bring it and drop it, and then you add a garage and a front porch or a back porch. Oh, wow. And they build them right on top of it.
I've never heard of those. That's
you
cool.
can also spec them out now. So I've seen modular homes with high-end windows, like group 3 or 4 or 5 granite, custom cabinets. Like they're getting to the point now where you can actually like sit down with the designer and it's not every product line. But there are certain modular home dealers that offer product lines that you can sit down and spec that out. I just had a conversation with the lady in my office today. She wanted to build a home, and we talked about the price, and it was going to be about $1 million, and she had a property that she wanted to put it on, and she was worried about it being overbuilt. And I just said, well, if this isn't like what you want to do, then maybe in the meantime you put a modular home on this. And she's like, that's actually a pretty good idea. And I said, if you want it nicer than what you currently have, you can spec that thing out to whatever you want. The price will reflect that, right? But they're gone are the days of it's just like this basic, like cheap as can be, like modular home. And then she puts a deposit down, they give her a delivery date, and the crew comes out, roughs in the ground, does the foundation, the plumbing, everything. They drop it on the foundation, roll it away, and you have a house. Wow. And then you can add a garage, a front porch, whatever. But so that's, I think, a really good option. I think cities, they're having a hard time, and the county's having a hard time trying to figure out the zoning issues with that. But I think when that gets figured out, you're going to see more and more subdivisions of that happening.
Yeah. Well, the cool part with modular in our world, I mean, it's the same thing as a stick-built home.
Right.
It is.
And so they get the same pricing as if it was built by a builder on site. Yep. Manufactured home when they bring it in on wheels is a little different. Still good product, not as good.
Right.
But it's in a controlled environment. From what I understand, is they're building all these different wall panel sections and shipping those out, and then the crew on site will just set, and erect these big panels, if you will, and they're built in a controlled climate environment, which could be better, right? And in some arguments,
you can have both built on site where they just panelize them and then bring them and put them together on site, or you can have the whole thing done and they just come and drop it onto the foundation, like with a crane, or they built them in pieces, right? A couple different pieces. So that's a good option for affordability if you're not looking for like a townhome and you want an actual single family home. I love that idea. I think that's great for first time home buyers, or even second or third, whatever you want. But as far as the price point, it's pretty hard for us to build that same home out in the field. Obviously, we can't do it in the timeline that they can, and for the same price, it's pretty difficult for us to do it, because a lot of times they're buying bulk materials, right? So bulk lumber, bulk material.
They get the benefit.
Yeah, bulk
it's
installation.
The Costco
absolutely, they're buying it at a less cost. They're storing it on site so they can withstand the pricing increases a little bit better. So all of that combined, I think it just gives a less expensive product. So.
Yeah, especially if it's still got good quality with those finishes you talked about. That's good, because a lot of people, townhomes, a lot of people are open to that idea, and there's some people that just don't want to be attached or that close. And they want maybe a driveway that can fit an F-250 or a full-size truck.
Actually put a vehicle inside the garage. Yeah, I get that.
So anyway, that's good. That's good input on that.
But you mentioned something that we really need to pay attention to also. I mean, costs have gone up on homes. Costs have gone up on everything. But the equity position in people's homes has gone up. And so buying a home, and you're getting the benefit of that equity increase every year. Even though, costs are going up, your equity in your position in your home is going up. And so, I mean, I've talked to so many people over the last couple of weeks that bought their homes back in 2006, 2007, and their homes are worth, 2 or 3 times more. And so, I mean, it's a real deal. It's a great way to build wealth, is to buy a home. Even if the interest rate is slightly higher than where you'd like it, it's going to be paying dividends.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys know obviously way more about interest rate stuff than I do. But if a client comes to me and says like, "Hey, what would you do? Like, would you wait for that to come down? You wait for costs?" I'm like, "Listen, I always say if it's right for you right now to build, then do it, or to buy, right? Like." It's up to you as the individual. It's not up to me. I can't predict the future, like, hey, wait or don't wait, or maybe material costs will come down. I'm not sure. But if you're ready to build, or if you're ready to buy and you need to buy, or you need to relocate, then that's obviously the time to do it, right? Like that's the biggest decision. And I follow Housing Wire. You guys, So, and a lot of that, they talked about like all of these low interest mortgages when everybody refied 2, 3, and 4%, and there was a big majority of the country that was under that. Well, that's shrinking every year because everybody has life changes, right? They have kids, they've got to move out, or they want to downsize, and so they're getting rid of their home that they grew their kids up in and refinance, and now they're moving into something smaller, job relocation, whatever. So those aren't going to last forever, right? I can tell you for sure, going from a 4% home, loan to a 7%, it's a big cost. So that's what I did, right? I sold my home that I had a 4%.
You're one of the few.
Yeah. So I know what that is, but I outgrew it, right? It was uncomfortable for us to be there, because we needed another bedroom, and so we made that upward move. So, but I know that I'm going to have equity in the home that I've got, right? Yeah. And I took the equity that I sold that original home for, and I put it into this one. I just increased my position there. So I'm carrying over equity as you continue to go and buy and sell homes.
And I think there was a shell shock of dynamic to it. We saw what happened when rates, got so low, 21, 22. They were, we're talking 3% range, 4% range, and just people, they're married to that thing. They're stuck on it. And I think that's why the building craze just went nuts, because people weren't letting go of those other things like you just mentioned. But every time rates start to creep down, we're starting to see it where some people are like, okay, now I'm ready to probably sell this house.
Right.
And they're starting to do what you did. You bit the bullet and did it because you wanted a different house.
Yeah.
And the lower that these current rates get, I think more people just time or drop in interest rates. One of the two is going to drive them to that spot.
I've had a couple of people they're trying to get pre-qualified, and I show them their upper limit. It's not where they want it to be, so it's townhome situation. And I keep telling them, like, this is a great place to start. This is your first home. You got to realize this isn't your last home.
Yeah.
And to show them and help them understand, like what you said, is you're going to have this home. You're going to be paying down the debt every month. Plus, you're going to be building equity. And so you're expanding this equity very quickly. And, down the road, you'll sell this. You roll that equity in the next home, and then you got another home that you want. But it's not going to be your last home probably either.
Right.
And so you continue to snowball this equity into the house you're eventually going to have. Probably the most of your life, but it still won't be your last home.
What's the stat? Maybe you guys know better than I do, but I've heard it's between 5 and 7 years. Like that's the average time frame that somebody will own a home. Exactly. They'll stay in a home that they buy. Yep. 5 to 7 years. So you're not buying it for 20, 30 years. You're buying, and it's across the nation, like the average. So,
and I think that's a long-term average that we've seen is at 5 to 7. And it's interesting. We've talked about this a little bit. Is when we've seen this whole thing we just talked about when rates got so low 5 years ago, and people now have been holding on a little longer than normal. I wonder if they look at this in about 3 or 4 more years and they look back and go, okay, that 5 to 7 has grown a little bit because of people that did hold on tight. But as far as things that as you go in, you know every facet about the home building process and all the different choices that people can make and all the different things they can put in it. What gives a client that wants to build a home, but maybe they're on a tighter budget? What is something that gives them more bang for their buck? Maybe something that looks great or looks like it adds a bunch of value but doesn't have as much cost. Is there something that comes to mind that you think, is it granite countertops or has that become more of a standard? It's not that big a deal now,
Group 1 granite's pretty standard everywhere. So the pricing, at least in our area, is Group 1 and Group 6, and you can do granite or like quartz or quartzite, right? So Group 1 granite's pretty common. LVP, and again, you can spend $2 a square foot on LVP or tile or 20, right, for the same product. So it just depends on the line, right? So and same thing with carpet. Lumber is what it is. I always tell people your structure is your structure.
Yeah.
So your foundation, your plumbing, your electrical, like roof, walls, all that stuff. What you finish it with, your exterior finishes, your interior finishes, is what will drive the price. Same thing with architecture. Sure. So like an 812 roof is a lot more expensive than a 612 roof. So if somebody comes to me and we've done it multiple times, like, hey, is this a specific design feature like that you want? Like, is this, well, no, the architect just drew it. Yeah, it looks better. But we have a plan that we built in a couple different subdivisions, and just from going from a 612 to an 812, it was like $16,000 more.
Oh, wow.
Nothing to do with the plan, just the roof pitch. So you have extra material and trusses, you have extra sheeting. The framers and the roofers will charge more because it's a steeper pitch.
Slower going, more dangerous.
You have more shingle, the steeper. So a lot of times people don't think about that. And I would say the biggest bang for your buck is to stack your square foot instead of spread it all out. So a slab on grade, as nice as they are, that's the most cost expensive square foot that you can do, because you're all on one foundation,
it's a lot of concrete,
and you're all on one roof structure.
Yeah.
Where if you can stack it, you shrink your square footage of the foundation, you shrink your square footage of the roof, and you stack your square foot. And so whether that's a slab on grade 2-story or whether it's a basement, and our numbers show us that a finished basement is the most cost-effective way to get square foot. I know it doesn't appraise for the same amount as main floor square foot or second-story square foot, but just dollar for dollar, like finished square footage space, finishing your basement is by far and away the most cost-effective way to do it. So if you can build and that's another thing too, you can build like a 1,500, 1,600 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home now. And then an unfinished basement allows you to go in, hey, we just had another kid. Let's finish a room. Let's finish that bathroom. We can finish the playroom. You know what I mean? Sure. Like you can grow into the home, and you can build equity by finishing your basement and adding square foot that way. So the best way to, and I tell this to everybody that asks, is to stack your square foot. That's the most cost effective way to build.
Whether it's going up a second story or down in the basement.
Yep. And for us, what our numbers have shown over the years is it's less expensive to go down. Now, maybe if you're building in like St. George or Arizona or Vegas where they have hard rock and all the subdivisions are already pad ready for a slab, then they're going up. Like it's a lot less expensive for them to go up. But we're here, and there's a lot more basements, and we don't have a ton of rock, and most of the subdivisions that we have developed in Cedar City aren't pad ready. And for your listeners, pad ready just means like that the developers went in and had the excavators like mass grade the entire project so that everything's to grade. All you got to do is go in and dig footings. Like there's no other excavation that's required.
The prep is done.
Prep's done, and that's included in the lot price. So
that's nice. That's good advice. That's exactly what I was kind of fishing for, is hoping you can give us something like that, because there's got to be a lot of different things. I mean, people can get carried away. I know a lot in light fixtures and plumbing fixture packages where whatever the new greatest thing, I don't know if it's the black finish stuff or maybe it's gold again, I heard came back. I mean, whatever it is, there's certain colors and finishes that just cost a lot more. So if someone's trying to keep that price point down with you, if they'll maybe look at a less popular color or something that still looks good, or like you say, a lower grade granite, but it still catches everyone's eye. No one really knows.
Yep.
I mean, it still is impressive, but it saves a lot on the overall price.
Well, I've got a client right now who's building, and they're trying to get the cost down as cheap as possible. So they're putting in builder grade carpet. They're putting in like cheaper fixtures, cheaper light fixtures, with the anticipation, kind of like your sentiments on building out your basement eventually, is they'll upgrade as they go.
For sure.
And they'll get in as cheap as they can, try to get their payment as low as they can, but over time get the house they want with the
you can always swap out
want.
Appliances. I mean, appliances don't last that long anyway.
I just had to get a new dryer today.
Unfortunately,
You just waited today.
And if you like your dryer goes out and the guy comes looks at it, it's like the parts and labor are almost as much as what it is to get a new one. So, and as you go up and spend more money in higher quality appliances, that's not as big of a deal. But yeah, you can absolutely do stuff like that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, put the bones in that's good and the way you want it, your plan, and then you can save money on finishes. And a lot of times when I sit down with the client, I go through the plans with them on a custom home, and I have a whole list of everything that I ask them. Most of the time it's not shown on the plans, like what type of finishes do you want? What do you want us to price out in the cabinets? Like how nice do you want stuff? We go through from A to Z on everything, and then we price it that way. And if it comes back and it's over their budget, then I already know everywhere I can look to save price, like to bring the cost. And I've cut $150,000 out of a home just by going with different finishes. You know what I mean? So that there's different ways. We always try to price out what a client wants in their home, right? Like that's their home. We want to give them what they want. So we price it out. And then if it's not the price they want to pay, then we just go back and look at the line items where we can make price adjustments and still can keep the integrity of the home and the look of the home, but we're just doing things differently with the finishes, right? So
on an interior of a house, we talk about, paints, how many tones, how many colors. I know it can get kind of carried away where someone wants accent walls everywhere. We want this room colored this room this color. I mean, is it a significant savings if they'll say, look, we're going to do trim in one color and all the body in another color versus going, accent walls in different rooms?
I guess that depends on your definition of significant, right? So like $200 might be significant to some people, but $2,500 it's not you know what I mean? No, it's not. Paint is, the standard is like a coat of primer and 2 coats of paint, right? And so if you're painting every room in the home a different color, then there's going to be a pretty big upcharge for that. And even on our starter homes, we do a 3-tone, and that just means there's 3 different types of paint. So our standard, unless it's client specific, is like a satin on the walls, a flat on the ceiling, and then semi-gloss on the doors and the trim. Nice. So that's 3 different. So even if it's the same color, it's still 3-tone because you have 3 different paint types. Yes. So, and you do a 2-tone. I mean, we recommend what we recommend for certain reasons because we've built for over time, so we know what works. But if a client or an architect specs out flat everywhere, then that's what we'll do, right? But so cabinets is one thing. I mean, like alder and paint grade is typically about the same price, and then when you start going up into woods, that increases with the wood cost. The more like components that you add to a cabinet package, like trash rollouts or like soft close package or dovetailed drawer boxes, you can do like silverware inlay. I mean, the sky's the limit, right? You can do whatever you want. But when I meet with a client and I know what they're after and I know what budget, that's always a conversation I have, because it doesn't make sense for me to go price something and then give it to him like, oh, I only wanted to spend this. Like I learned that once and didn't do it again, So, because it takes us a lot of time to put together a cost breakdown and it takes the subs time and the material takeoff guys. So, we always try to quantify what they want to spend. And what I've gotten a lot better at is like, if they have a plan or a certain size in mind, like, look, this is what we've built these same size of homes for, like between this price point. Is that what you want? Maybe we better think about shrinking it down. Or if like, oh yeah, that's fine, then we continue to move forward. But trying to give a potential client, as much information up front as far as costs and what they can expect timeline wise, and just so we call it setting the table of expectations, so that they know what's gonna what it's gonna come from us, so they're not shocked or like they don't fall off their seat, right?
So I guess there's another element to that too, is you probably want to know if they're getting financing, what they're approved up to.
Right.
So they don't come to you with this dramatic, amazing home that they can't afford in the first place, and have you go through all that work to bid it out and do all that stuff just to find out like you're not pre-qualified anywhere near this.
Right. And most of our clients, honestly, like we talked a little bit about rates, and rates haven't affected the custom market as much, right? Because probably especially people who are
cash.
Yeah. And if they are getting a loan, it's usually on the back end. So they're burning up a significant amount of their own cash, whether that's their investments or sale of other properties or whatever. They're using that for the construction loan up front, and then a smaller construction loan will kick in at the end, and then they might have a smaller mortgage. Or we've had a number of clients the past couple of years that are full cash. Like they're just writing the check out of their own account. So, everybody's different. Everybody's got a different makeup. But yeah, quantifying what that client is willing to pay or what they want to pay, right? Or what they're, I guess, you say qualified for.
I guess to follow up on that is for those clients that need to get their financing in order, my recommendation and Dave's is, and I'm sure everybody in this room recommendation would be to, talk to a lender.
For sure.
Figure out what it is really going to cost for the house you think you want. Yeah, you might qualify for it. What does that payment look like? Because if that payment is going to cause a lot of stress in your life, let's skinny this down somehow. And then let's take this plan of just the financing end of things. Let's take it to the builder. Now they can customize based on that. What does this house look like? But you like the payment. Let's see if we can get the house there. And even if you're skinnying down the finishes,
right?
As a plan of action, just get your lender involved early on.
Yeah. And nobody wants to, we call that term house poor.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like you're spending all your money on a house, you can't even go do anything. That's stupid. Like it's ridiculous, right? You want to be comfortable, take care of your family needs, and it is what it is, and then move up as your income or your quality of life or your change in life happens. So
I've always kind of felt like let the wallet dictate. You know what I mean? We can all get big-eyed. We get just go to a car dealership, truck dealership. You can come out of there with a lot of buyer's remorse. And I think the same thing can often happen in home shopping. But we really need to come back to, the most common sense, practical approach. So let's let the wallet dictate this, because this is how much I really can afford. This is how much my lender says I can be approved for.
Yep.
That way you're not spinning your wheels and wasting time. One thing I wanted to ask about really quick is something that I've often heard about and experienced, and we've heard it from our clients, and it's a frustration there. We've heard it from builders. It's a frustration there. And I think a lot of times it might be lack of communication or maybe just different expectations. And it's not a 4-letter word, but it might feel like one: change order. Because I've seen where those things can just blow up the price. I mean, what should a listener that's going to go into a custom home, how do you communicate on that ahead of time, just so you're ahead of the curve and people aren't just blindsided with something? What's the best way to approach change orders ahead and during, or what can you share with us on that?
You bet. So I'll tell you what we do, right? It's going to be different for every company and every builder. So all of our customs are cost plus.
Okay.
So it's open book. Like Good. You see every single line item and the money that's allocated from everything permits down to final cleaning. So what you're dealing with, and that I feel like that's on us as the company that the client's meeting with to find what are your expectations as a client. What do you want in this home? I want to know. I want to price it accurately up front so that when we get to the build, like it's not like I gave you a budget for group 1 granite and you expected group 5, right? And you went forward with it. So I try to quantify what your wants and needs are. Again, we have the plan. Some home designers are more detailed than others, but still there's not like if you want under cabinet lighting, if you want toe kick lighting, do you want an RO system? Do you want speakers? Do you want whole home automation. You know what I mean? Do you want solar ready? Do you want a car charger? Do you want a backup generator? Do you want the prep for it? Do you want, what type of furnace do you want? Do you want an ERV? Do you want, these are all the things that I've learned, you know what I mean, during the course of it. And so, and a lot of times when I'm asking them, they're like, oh, I haven't even thought about that. Like, maybe that is something that we would like, or we haven't even considered that. So I'm trying to ask those questions up front so that when we do send that bid package out to our vendors and subcontractors, that we're getting the most accurate pricing. So that when I give you guys, if you're our client, if I give you the cost breakdown, and it's detailed, it lists everything that price includes, and we review it. So I send it to them, say, here's our proposal, take a look at it, let's set a time to come back in and review it line item by line item. If it's an out-of-state or out-of-town client, we do it by Zoom. If they're here, they come in, and we go through it, and they ask questions, and we make sure that they're good with everything before we start. The three things that are hard for us, I would say, as builders in general to quantify exactly are excavation, concrete, and framing, especially on a custom home. Because excavation, unless you have an engineered site plan that has, somebody's went out there and done the topo and developed a whole engineered site plan like you would see on a commercial or a civil job, it's very hard to get an exact amount. And so the excavators here in town that we work with are really good. They've got a lot of experience, so they can get pretty close. But nobody can get exact, right? Unless you have that type of a plan and you have the software to be able to build a 3D model. And we build on some pretty gnarly lots. You're trying to figure out how much export, I mean how much material we've got to haul off the job if there's some left over, or if the material is short on the job, we're gonna have to buy that and bring it in. If there needs to be engineered retaining walls included in that, what's the drainage look like that's all stuff that has to be figured out because there's a cost involved in that. And then on big slopey lots on big foundations where there's a lot of elevation changes, if you don't have a good plan, if there hasn't been that topo or elevations, it's just basically kind of a blank slate of a foundation plan, just an overview. There's not elevations that show that. So a lot of times that's me making sure, looking at the site, trying to figure out what's going to work there and sending that to the concrete contractor so that I can get the most accurate number. And then when we get there and if things change, then there might be a change, in cost. And then lumber, right? Because we got the material variability, but then some plans are really hard to do a takeoff, like a hip roof, and framers will know this, you burn up a ton of lumber on hip roofs because you've basically got to frame one roof and then you've got another roof that goes on top of it. So you're basically building two roofs on top of one another just to get the hip design the way that it needs to be. Wow. So we call them lumber eating roofs because you're God, that roof ate that lumber up. It's just we got to drop another pallet of OSB and studs. So, and those are hard to know exactly on a takeoff. So our guys are good at the ones that do takeoffs. They're the best that we've got, and we trust them. And then I always add 10% to that, and keeping data too, on other jobs that are similar to that roof. This lumber price looks a little low. I'm just going to add some money to that to make
better
sure
safe than sorry.
But when we're getting prices from subs and they're pricing a specific scope of work, then those numbers don't typically change. And when we're giving them allowances and budgets for their finishes, i.e. light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, again, I'm asking, what are you expecting in this, so that I give them an accurate budget. So I don't give them a Ritz cracker budget when they want a high-end price. So that has a lot to do with us as a builder and as a company, is to quantify their wants and needs in the front end and then give them the most accurate price. And in our contract, it says it's open line item. The cost of the home is going to be depending on what's spent in each line item. So if a client goes in to pick out a selection, they're I want that, and it's 10 grand more, then the vendor will be, hey, this is 10 grand more, send it to us. Are you good with this? Then they're yeah, we're fine. And it's up to us to continually manage that. And I keep track of everything. Every good builder will. And so that anytime a client wants to review the budget, we can sit down and go over it with them. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. Here's where you went over. This is what caused the overage. This is, you picked this, and they may not remember. I know everybody's got a different process, but I try to make it as easy on them. Then it's also easy for us too, because if I was doing a change order for every single change in a custom home, that's all I would be doing. I would have to pay somebody to just literally sit in the office and constantly just type out change orders, because half the time it feels like we're basically repricing the home as we're building the home. Because, and I know a lot of builders don't like to do custom homes for that very reason. We like to build architecturally elegant and unique and custom homes, and we like working with homeowners to build what they want. Like, it's more satisfying to us in the end. It's a lot more challenging, and more headaches come with that. But for us, that's what we like, and that's kind of our niche.
I think it takes a people person. I think that's a big common thing. A good custom home builder needs to be somebody that can really relate to people, communicate with people first. And then when they do, you got to be able to avoid flare-ups, obviously.
Right.
And I think you've obviously got that skill set, because this is what you do. This is your niche. Where I know other builders that are just like, just give me production spec building, because I can't deal with a lady that wants to change this closet, even something simple. They don't want to deal with it. And that's just how they're wired, you know?
Oh, yeah. We've done stuff specific to the client's request, and then like a week later we get a text or phone, I want to do it different. So we go and tear out exactly what they paid to have us do, and then we redo it, you know. So, and that also adds time to the schedule. But again, if they're paying for it and they know that's what they want, then, and it's kind of hard for some clients are really good at knowing what they want, and they can look at the plan and they can see that vision. And if they've worked with a designer who has 3D renderings that they, you know, they can give them a good idea. But even still with that, some clients can't, like, they don't know what they're getting until it's there. And they're like, this is not at all what we were expecting.
You're describing my wife.
Yeah. So
she, and this is why we'll really never build a home, is because if you sat down with her on day one and said, okay, what do you want to have in your house? She'd be like, I don't know. Like, don't ask me those questions. And so yeah, she'll.
Tracy, don't watch this episode.
No, she we've talked about this. This is she knows. She's like, I can't make that kind of selections. But it was.
So on that note, like a push for a designer, like, I'm not an interior designer, right? Like, we work with designers that we can partner up with and recommend to our clients, but that's another benefit of them. And there's been a lot of neat tools that have come with AI and different programs and softwares that we have where we can upload a plan. It gives us a 3D rendering of the home. It can give 3D renderings of the interior. So it gives clients a little better perspective of what they're actually going to get. But yeah, we had one not too long ago, a year or two ago, where we built the home they designed it outside of us, brought us the plan, we priced it, moved forward with it. We built it exactly like the plan showed, and they walked in. They were from out of state, and we did a frame walk with them, and they're like, this is wrong. This is not like what we talked about. I'm like, okay, let's look. You know, we went back, looked at the plans. This is exactly like what it is. What's the issue? Well, this room was supposed to be vaulted all the way up. I'm like, well, it doesn't. That's not how it's drawn. You know what I mean? Well, that's what we wanted. So you're going back like, okay, and then they're like, this isn't going to fit our dining room table. I'm like, all right, well, what do you, so then anyways, we spent probably 4 or 5 hours with them on site going through all the changes. We already had it framed. We ended up adding foundation to the back, making a whole nother pop out on the home, taking off some of the trusses, ordering vaulted trusses, reframing the front entry so it was vaulted all the way to the top. Just because, again, they were thinking that the plan was going to give them something that they had in their mind, where it wasn't in the end. And that's where 3D modeling comes in. I think as AI and the software gets better, people are going to have a lot better idea of what they're going to get in the end. So
that's cool.
So kind of having you break out your crystal ball a little bit here, what do you foresee the building climate and industry looking like in the next 12 months?
My crystal ball is mud. I'll just tell you that. I don't know. Like, don't ask me.
He's got the same crystal ball we got.
Ask everybody this crystal ball question.
Don't ask me to bet on anything, because I suck at gambling. So, I mean, for right now, like our company, like I know what the next 12 months is going to be because we have that much on our books, right? So, like for us, I can see that clear picture. And for custom homes, like, I don't know we're getting a job until I get a phone call, you know, or an email, and then we set up an appointment. And it could be, hey, we want to meet and discuss this, and we're 3 years out, but we want to get the property secure. We want to start working on our plans. Or it's like, hey, I've got these plans, I'm ready to go. And so we deal with a mix of all kinds of different, I would say, like readiness type people. And again, those calls just, you never know. I could get 3 a week or like one a month. You know what I mean? So I don't know for sure. One thing I do know is that I do not think that Cedar people are not going to come here. Like Southern Utah in general, I think is continue to have people come from all over. I mean, we're building for people all over this state. People are relocating from other states to come. People are moving up from homes that they're living in here. They've been here their whole lives and they want a bigger, nicer home to finish out their lives in. People are downsizing. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what that market is, other than I don't see people stop moving here. It might slow, but our quality of life, the outdoor rec opportunities that we have here. Yeah. I mean, we're within an hour of 5 national parks. We've got over 100 miles of mountain bike trail within downtown Cedar City. And it's just St. George is a destination. The weather's great. And the cool thing with, I think, Cedar is, like, in the winter, if you get sick of being cold, just drive 40 minutes and you're down at 3,000 feet in elevation. Yeah. In the summer, if you want to cool off, you can be to 11,000 feet in 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah. And so that's very hard to replicate anywhere else, where you basically have 3 different climates within an hour and a half of one another. I mean, that's pretty hard to beat. So if you've
got it all.
Yeah. If you like outdoors, you like sports, you like rec, I mean, and Cedar's got a lot of industry and manufacturing that's coming, on the line. I know the people that are working with the Cedar City Economic Development, they're actively working on bringing things here. We've got some anchor stores that are coming in on the north end of town, and that's going to bring in other businesses. So I don't see us not growing. Yeah. I guess I should say. And all builders and all industries that benefit from growth are going to feel that effect. Yeah. Our infrastructure is going to feel that effect. Our other, we're going to feel the consequences of that negatively, but I just don't see that people aren't going to stop moving unless we just shrivel up and don't have any water, But I know there's good guys that are working on that, trying to find solutions for that as well. So,
yeah, the water and as long as our economic base can support it, if we have the jobs with the income, I think you're right. I think we have such a desirable spot. This is where people want to come. Yeah. And that bodes well for all of us around this table. It really does. Well, this has been great. This is exactly what we kind of wanted to sink our teeth in a little bit, is talk about this and talk about building. And I think so if somebody out there's listening to this and they, really want to get into a custom home, I mean, we'll obviously have your contact put here on the video. How far out would you be if somebody wanted to have a home built?
I always describe it like a Ferris wheel. We always have people getting on and we always have people getting off. And then we have people that are on the ride, So I've never told anyone we've got to wait for X number of months or weeks or whatever. Because, again, typically we're working with the clients either to help them get their plans drawn or we're pricing it out. So, and then we've got to get with the budget with them. So we kind of know who we're going to be working with like months ahead of when we're breaking ground, right? So that's never been an issue for us. Like I said, we've carried 50 homes. I mean, not custom homes, but we're pretty good at managing things and making sure we've got a good sub base, and we've got great employees that work really hard and to emulate and keep the standards of our company. So that's not a worry. But I would say the biggest thing for our end, if you are considering a custom home or you want a custom home, just knowing what you want to spend. And if you have no idea on what you can get, then I do that all the time. And I'm sure other builders would too. Just, hey, set a meeting, come in. What am I looking at to get a 3,000 square foot home? Or 4, whatever, right? Like, what do you think we're going to be into it? And just start having that conversation. And I think that's the biggest thing. And then if you have a lot, that's great. We can, and if you're trying to find a lot, we've helped clients go and look at different lots, because you can easily spend a lot of money on excavation on a lot, depending on what type of home you want to build. And a lot of people will have us go look at the lot with them, and we sometimes we'll even bring the excavator out and just say, hey, what's it going to be how much export? $60,000 isn't uncommon for an excavation on a lot for
an affordable lot can become an expensive lot.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So.
Well, Mac, we certainly appreciate your time. We've always enjoyed working with you. You're a great friend, a great builder in our community, and you're going to be the president of the Home Builders Association next year.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
No sarcasm there.
But no, we very much appreciate you. And to our listeners, like and subscribe. It definitely benefits us. It helps us get the word out here. Our main ambition on this podcast is to get knowledge out there. We meet with so many people that just haven't heard of a mortgage, what it does. We've put a lot of episodes out there to describe a lot of things that you just don't know unless you know it. And so hopefully this answers a lot of questions for those that are listening. But we are the Mortgage Guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah.